When I got invited to this dialogue series, the first question I asked Samir Saran was, why me again? He said, well, you're a disruptor. And I said, why am I a disruptor? He said, well, you can speak what comes to your mind, and hence you're a disruptor in administration. And then I looked at what this dialogue was all about in the brief that is available on the internet. And that brief, I, as a little experiment, gave it to 5 women who are not in administration, who are hoping to be a part of decision-making and want to be policy analysts. And I told them that read the ORF brief and then tell me what should I say today. The brief that is available online is about justifying why women should have an enhanced role in either administration or policy making. And every girl that I told to give me research came back with numbers exactly that I've heard on this dais today, telling me that women spend more on social issues, telling me that they focus a lot on education and healthcare, telling me that whenever money comes in, as Wendy said, they come in, the men come in, and then they become focused on infrastructure and big spending. But none of the 5 girls told me that women can become the focal point of an economy because they're competent. And I asked them a question in return. I said, have you ever had an opportunity in your entire adult life where you've seen 5 competent men sit on a platform and justify why they have a greater say in things? So we have 5 women here from across the world speaking for our entire gender and convincing people why women should be a bigger part of decision making. I think that is where the entire inequality stems from. The fact that we have to explain that yes, and do a comparative that I'm as competent as a man. The fact that even in your question to Wendy, you had to say, Wendy, you were a part of a decision making, there was huge data. And you hold her in awe because she could sit there and crunch that data. And I compliment Wendy that she just sidestepped that and she said, this is about power. It is not about data crunching. It is about being in that position and saying, I'm in this position, I speak for this office. So when you speak for that office, what comes? The fact that Gabriela had to say that they had to maneuver a gender issue in G20 speaks a lot. Because the presumption is that these deviations and movements and slide tricks happen only in emerging economies, only in economies which do not look at women as the empowered lot. The fact that at G20 table, Gabriela had to sit and strategize how to put gender ahead speaks volumes. How did the government look at servicing the gender issue? If you're looking at disruptors, the fact today that in this government, the Ministry of Women and Child Welfare has a man equally positioned as a woman to serve the needs of women and children in this country, I think that is a very big administrative disruption. Yeah. But I don't see that man on this stage today. I see all these gentlemen listening to us, but that gentleman who's in an administrative post serving the interests of women in our country is not here today. And I think that should give us a little pause for introspection, that whether we as women only identify our gender to be the problem solvers, or do we view men equally participative in administration of applying themselves to solutions that men and women both need in our country. When I look back at my administrative life of 3.5 years, as an administrator, not as a woman, as an administrator, I'm proud of the fact that my Prime Minister said that when you look at the basic needs of a girl going to school, she drops out of school because she doesn't have a toilet separately to go to. So he said, what has never been done in the history of our democracy, can we do it in 1 year? Can we build a toilet for a girl child in every government school in the country, but can we do it in 1 year? We build over 400,000 toilets in 1 year. That is a record for any economy in this country, in the world. And what did we see? We saw more and more girls get enrolled. Why? Because they didn't have to go home or skip school or just walk out of school just because they were getting into a period of life where they needed that facility and they wanted to shamelessly ask about it. So I think that when you're looking at tools of empowerment, these are the small stories. I have the story of this young 37-year-old tribal girl who becomes a sarpanch and says that, well, mostly the citizens that I serve come from poor families. What do I do? She looks at other aspects of administration and service, but she says, I will take a 30,000 rupee loan. I will go get everybody, men and women included, tools for farming, tools for horticulture, lease it to them, not take a government grant. This is somebody who's already in an administrative position, but understands that I will take that loan from a bank, give it to people, make them self-sufficient, and administratively, I'll focus on rainwater harvesting. For me, that tribal girl, 37 years of age, she is a hero. Because she knew that finances I'll take from a bank, pay them back, have my community empowered, but administratively, I'll look at, as a tribal leader, rainwater harvesting. Those are the fascinating stories. When we say that only look at education, only look at health because we are women, I think that is the greatest injustice we do to ourselves as competent women. And that is the greatest insult we can thrust upon a man, that you do not have the competence to look at education and health from a female perspective. I think they're equally empowered when given administrative posts. The only pathway we have to design now is how can that policy decision become gender neutral? The only decision I want as a woman today is not to be excluded from the whole process just because I'm a woman. Exclude me by all means if I'm incompetent. And I think that is the balance that we need to reach. Like Wendy said, and I clapped the loudest when she spoke, don't be afraid when you sit there and exercise that power. Don't be squeamish about it. But be equally aware that if you're incompetent, you will be kicked out, and do not use your gender as a crutch.
Yeah.